Chapter 91. Pleasure and Happiness. Questioner. A friend of mine, a young man of about 25, was told that he's suffering from an incurable heart disease. He wrote to me that instead of slow death, he preferred suicide. I replied that a disease incurable by Western medicine may be cured in some other way. There are yogic powers that can bring almost instantaneous changes in the human body. Effects of repeated fasting also verge on the miraculous. I wrote to him not to be in a hurry to die, rather to give a trial to other approaches. There's a yogi living not far from Bombay who possesses some miraculous powers. He specializes in the control of the vital forces governing the body. I met some of his disciples and sent through them to the yogi my friend's letter and photo. Let us see what happens. Maharaj. Yes, miracles often take place, but there must also be the will to live. Without it, the miracle will not happen. Q. Can such a desire be instilled? M. Superficial desire, yes, but it will wear out. Fundamentally, nobody can compel another to live. Besides, there were cultures in which suicide had its acknowledged and respected place. Q. Is it not obligatory to live out one's natural span of life? M. Natural, spontaneously, easy, yes. But disease and suffering are not natural. There is noble virtue in unshakable endurance of whatever comes. But there is also dignity in the refusal of meaningless torture and humiliation. Q. I was given a book written by a Siddha. He describes in it many of his strange, even amazing experiences. According to him, the way of a true sadhaka ends with his meeting his guru and surrendering to him body, mind, and heart. Henceforth, the guru takes over and becomes responsible for even the least event in the disciple's life, until the two become one. One may call it realization through identification. The disciple is taken over by a power he cannot control nor resist, and feels as helpless as a leaf in the storm. The only thing that keeps him safe from madness and death is his faith in the love and power of his guru. M. Every teacher teaches according to his own experience. Experience is shaped by belief, and belief is shaped by experience. Even the guru is shaped by the disciple to his own image. It is the disciple that makes the guru great. Once the guru is seen to be the agent of a liberating power, which works both from within and without, wholehearted surrender becomes natural and easy. Just as a man gripped by pain puts himself completely in the hands of a surgeon, so does the disciple entrust himself without reservation to his guru. It is quite natural to seek help when its need is felt acutely. But however powerful the guru may be, he should not impose his will on the disciple. On the other hand, a disciple that distrusts and hesitates is bound to remain unfulfilled for no fault of his guru. Q. What happens then? M. Life teaches where all else fails, but the lessons of life take a long time to come. Much delay and trouble is saved by trusting and obeying. But such trust comes only when indifference and restlessness give place to clarity and peace. A man who keeps himself in low esteem will not be able to trust himself nor anybody else. Therefore, in the beginning, the teacher tries his best to reassure the disciple as to his high origin, noble nature, and glorious destiny. He relates to him the experiences of some saints as well as his own, instilling confidence in himself and in his infinite possibilities. When self-confidence and trust in the teacher come together, rapid and far-going changes in the disciple's character and life can take place. Q. I may not want to change. My life is good enough as it is. M. You say so because you've not yet seen how painful is the life you live. You're like a child sleeping with a lollipop in its mouth. You may feel happy for a moment by being totally self-centered, but it is enough to have a good look at human faces to perceive the universality of suffering. Even your own happiness is so vulnerable and short-lived, at the mercy of a bank crash or a stomach ulcer. It is just a moment of respite, a mere gap between two sorrows. Real happiness is not vulnerable because it does not depend on circumstances. Q. Are you talking from your own experience? Are you, too, unhappy? M. I have no personal problems, but the world is full of living beings whose lives are squeezed between fear and craving. They are like the cattle driven to the slaughterhouse, jumping and frisking, carefree and happy, yet dead and skinned within an hour. You say you are happy. Are you really happy? Or are you merely trying to convince yourself? Look at yourself fearlessly, and you will at once realize that your happiness depends on conditions and circumstances. Hence, it is momentary, not real. Real happiness flows from within. Q. Of what use is your happiness to me? It does not make me happy. M. You can have the whole of it and more for the mere asking, but you do not ask. You don't seem to want. Q. Why do you say so? I do want to be happy. M. You are quite satisfied with pleasures. There is no place for happiness. Empty your cup and clean it. It cannot be filled otherwise. Others can give you pleasure, but never happiness. Q. A chain of pleasurable events is good enough. M. Soon it ends in pain, if not in disaster. What is yoga, after all, but seeking lasting happiness within? Q. You can speak only for the East. In the West, the conditions are different, and what you say does not apply. M. There is no East or West in sorrow and fear. The problem is universal, suffering and the ending of suffering. The cause of suffering is dependence, and independence is the remedy. Yoga is the science and the art of self-liberation through self-understanding. Q. I do not think I'm fit for yoga. M. What else are you fit for? All your goings and comings, seeking pleasure, loving and hating, all this shows that you struggle against limitations, self-imposed or accepted. In your ignorance, you make mistakes and cause pain to yourself and others. But the urge is there and shall not be denied. The same urge that seeks birth, happiness, and death shall seek understanding and liberation. It is the spark of fire in a cargo of cotton. You may not know about it, but sooner or later the ship will burst in flames. Liberation is a natural process and in the long run inevitable. But it is within your power to bring it into the now. Q. Then why are so few liberated people in the world? M. In a forest, only some of the trees are in full bloom at a given moment, yet every one will have its turn. Sooner or later, your physical and mental resources will come to an end. What will you do then? Despair? All right, despair. You will get tired of despairing and begin to question. At that moment, you will be fit for conscious yoga. Q. I find all this seeking and brooding most unnatural. M. Yours is the naturalness of a born cripple. You may be unaware, but it does not make you normal. What it means to be natural or normal, you do not know, nor do you know that you do not know. At present, you are drifting, and therefore in danger. For to a drifter, any moment anything may happen. It would be better to wake up and see your situation. That you are, you know. What you are, you do not know. Find out what you are. Q. Why is there so much suffering in the world? M. Selfishness is the cause of suffering. There is no other cause. Q. I understand that suffering is inherent in limitation. M. Differences and distinctions are not the cause of sorrow. Unity in diversity is natural and good. It is only with separateness and self-seeking that real suffering appears in the world. Chapter 92. Go beyond the I am the body idea. Questioner. We're like animals running about in vain pursuits, and there seems to be no end to it. Is there a way out? Maharaj. Many ways will be offered to you which will but take you round and bring you back to your starting point. First, realize that your problems exist in your waking state only, that however painful it is, you are able to forget it altogether when you go to sleep. When you are awake, you are conscious. When you are asleep, you are only alive. Consciousness and life, both you may call God, but you are beyond both, beyond God, beyond being and not being. What prevents you from knowing yourself as all and beyond all is the mind based on memory. It has power over you as long as you trust it. Don't struggle with it, just disregard it. Deprived of attention, it will slow down and reveal the mechanism of its working. Once you know its nature and purpose, you will not allow it to create imaginary problems. Q. Surely not all problems are imaginary. There are real problems. M. What problems can there be which the mind did not create? Life and death do not create problems. Pain and pleasure comes and goes, experienced and forgotten. It is memory and anticipation that create problems of attainment or avoidance, colored by like and dislike. Truth and love are man's real nature, and mind and heart are the means of its expression. Q. How to bring the mind under control, and the heart, which doesn't know what it wants. M. They cannot work in darkness. They need the light of pure awareness to function rightly. All effort at control will merely subject them to the dictates of memory. Memory is a good servant, but a bad master. It effectively prevents discovery. There is no place for effort in reality. It is selfishness due to a self-identification with the body that is the main problem and the cause of all other problems. And selfishness cannot be removed by effort, only by clear insight into its causes and effects. Effort is a sign of conflict between incompatible desires. They should be seen as they are, and then only they dissolve. Q. And what remains? M. That which cannot change remains. The great peace, the deep silence, the hidden beauty of reality remain. While it cannot be conveyed through words, it's waiting for you to experience for yourself. Q. Must not one be fit and eligible for realization? Our nature is animal to the core. Unless it's conquered, how can we hope for reality to dawn? M. Leave the animal alone. Let it be. Just remember what you are. Use every incident of the day to remind you that without you as the witness, there would be neither animal nor God. Understand that you are both, the essence and the substance of all there is, and remain firm in your understanding. Q. Is understanding enough? Don't I need more tangible proofs? M. It is your understanding that will decide about the validity of proofs. But what more tangible proof do you need than your own existence? Wherever you go, you find yourself. However far you reach out in time, you are there. Q. Obviously, I'm not all-pervading and eternal. I'm only here and now. M. Good enough. The here is everywhere, and the now always. Go beyond I am the body idea, and you will find that space and time are in you, and not you in space and time. Once you have understood this, the main obstacle to realization is removed. Q. What is the realization which is beyond understanding? M. Imagine a dense forest full of tigers, and you in a strong steel cage. Knowing that you are well protected by the cage, you watch the tigers fearlessly. Next, you find the tigers in the cage and yourself roaming about in the jungle. Last, the cage disappears and you ride the tigers. Q. I attended one of the group meditation sessions held recently in Bombay, and witnessed the frenzy and self-abandon of the participants. Why do people go for such things? These are all inventions of a restless mind pampering to people in search of sensations. Some of them help the unconscious to disgorge suppressed memories and longings, and to that extent they may provide relief. But ultimately, they leave the practitioner where he was, or worse. Q. I've read recently a book by a yogi on his experiences in meditation. It is full of visions and sounds, colors and melodies, quite a display and a most gorgeous entertainment. In the end, they all faded out, and only the feeling of utter fearlessness remained. No wonder. A man who passed through all this experience unscathed need not be afraid of anything. Yet I was wondering of what use is such a book to me? Of no use, probably, since it does not attract you. Others may be impressed. People differ. But all are faced with the fact of their own existence. I am is the ultimate fact. Who am I is the ultimate question to which everyone must find an answer. Q. The same answer? M. The same in essence, varied in expression. Each seeker accepts or invents a method which suits him, applies it to himself with some earnestness and effort, obtains results according to his temperament and expectations, casts them into the mold of words, builds them into a system, establishes a tradition, and begins to admit others into his school of yoga. It is all built on memory and imagination. No such school is valueless nor indispensable. In each, one can progress up to the point when all desire for progress must be abandoned to make further progress possible. Then all schools are given up. All effort ceases. In solitude and darkness, the last step is made, which ends ignorance and fear forever. The true teacher, however, will not imprison his disciple in a prescribed set of ideas, feelings, and actions. On the contrary, he will show him patiently the need to be free from all ideas and set patterns of behavior, to be vigilant and earnest and go with life wherever it takes him, not to enjoy or suffer, but to understand and learn. Under the right teacher, the disciple learns to learn, not to remember and obey. Satsang, the company of the noble, does not mold. It liberates. Beware of all that makes you dependent. Most of the so-called surrenders to the guru end in disappointment, if not in tragedy. Fortunately, an earnest seeker will disentangle himself in time, the wiser for the experience. Q. Surely self-surrender has its value. M. Self-surrender is the surrender of all self-concern. It cannot be done. It happens when you realize your true nature. Verbal self-surrender, even when accompanied by feeling, is of little value and breaks down under stress. At best, it shows an aspiration, not an actual fact. Q. In the Rig Veda, there is the mention of the Adi Yoga, the primordial yoga, consisting of the marriage of prajna with prana, which, as I understand, means the bringing together of wisdom and life. Would you say it means also the union of dharma and karma, righteousness and action? M. Yes, provided by righteousness you mean harmony with one's true nature, and by action, only unselfish and desireless action. In Adi Yoga, life itself is the guru and the mind, the disciple. The mind attends to life. It does not dictate. Life flows naturally and effortlessly, and the mind removes the obstacles to its even flow. Q. Is not life by its very nature repetitive? Will not following life lead to stagnation? M. By itself, life is immensely creative. A seed, in course of time, becomes a forest. The mind is like a forester, protecting and regulating the immense vital urge of existence. Q. Seen as the service of life by the mind, the Adi Yoga is a perfect democracy. Everyone's engaged in living a life to his best capacity and knowledge. Everyone is a disciple of the same guru. M. You may say so. It may be so, potentially. But unless life is loved and trusted, followed with eagerness and zest, it would be fanciful to talk of yoga, which is a movement in consciousness, awareness, and action. Q. Once I watched a mountain stream flowing between the boulders. At each boulder, the commotion was different according to the shape and size of the boulder. Is not every person a mere commotion over a body, while life is one and eternal? M. The commotion and the water are not separate. It is the disturbance that makes you aware of water. Consciousness is always of movement, of change. There can be no such thing as changeless consciousness. Changelessness wipes out consciousness immediately. A man deprived of outer or inner sensations blanks out or goes beyond consciousness and unconsciousness into the birthless and deathless state. Only when spirit and matter come together, consciousness is born. Q. Are they two or one? M. It depends on the words you use. They are one or two or three. On investigation, 3 becomes 2 and 2 becomes 1. Take the simile of face, mirror, image. Any two of them presuppose the third, which unites the two. In sadhana, you see the 3 as 2 until you realize the 2 as 1. As long as you are engrossed in the world, you are unable to know yourself. To know yourself, turn away your attention from the world and turn it within. Q. I cannot destroy the world. M. There is no need. Just understand that what you see is not what is. Appearances will dissolve on investigation, and the underlying reality will come to the surface. You need not burn the house to get out of it. You just walk out. It's only when you cannot come and go freely that the house becomes a jail. I move in and out of consciousness easily and naturally, and therefore to me the world is a home, not a prison. Q. But ultimately, is there a world or is there none? M. What you see is nothing but yourself. Call it what you like. It does not change the fact. Through the film of any destiny, your own light depicts pictures on the screen. You are the viewer, the light, the picture, and the screen. Even the film of destiny, Prabdha, is self-selected and self-imposed. The spirit is a sport and enjoys to overcome obstacles. The harder the task, the deeper and wider his self-realization. Chapter 93. Man is not the doer. Questioner. From the beginning of my life, I'm pursued by a sense of incompleteness. From school to college, to work, to marriage, to affluence, I imagine that the next thing will surely give me peace. But there was no peace. This sense of unfulfillment keeps on growing as the years pass by. Maharaj. As long as there is the body and the sense of identity with the body, frustration is inevitable. Only when you know yourself as entirely alien to and indifferent from the body will you find respite from the mixture of fear and craving, inseparable from the I am the body idea. Merely assuaging fears and satisfying desires will not remove this sense of emptiness you're trying to escape from. Only self-knowledge can help you. By self-knowledge, I mean full knowledge of what you are not. Such knowledge is attainable and final, but to the discovery of what you are, there can be no end. The more you discover, the more there remains to discover. Q. For this, we must have different parents and schools, live in a different society. M. You cannot change your circumstances, but your attitudes you can change. You need not be attached to the non-essentials. Only the necessary is good. There is peace only in the essential. Q. It is truth I seek, not peace. M. You cannot see the true unless you are at peace. A quiet mind is essential for right perception, which again is required for self-realization. Q. I have so much to do. I just cannot afford to keep my mind quiet. M. It is because of your illusion that you are the doer. In reality, things are done to you, not by you. Q. If I just let things happen, how can I be sure that they will happen my way? Surely I must bend them to my desire. M. Your desire just happens to you along with its fulfillment or non-fulfillment. You can change neither. You may believe that you exert yourself, strive and struggle. Again, it all merely happens, including the fruits of the work. Nothing is by you and for you. All is in the picture exposed on the cinema screen. Nothing in the light, including what you take yourself to be, the person. You are the light only. Q. If I'm the light only, how did I come to forget it? M. You have not forgotten. It is in the picture on the screen that you forget and then remember. You never cease to be a man because you dream to be a tiger. Similarly, you are pure light appearing as a picture on the screen and also becoming one with it. Q. Since all happens, why should I worry? M. Exactly. Freedom is freedom from worry. Having realized that you cannot influence the results, pay no attention to your desires and fears. Let them come and go. Don't give them the nourishment of interest and attention. Q. If I turn my attention from what happens, what am I to live by? M. Again, it's like asking, what shall I do if I stop dreaming? Stop and see. You need not be anxious. What next? There is always the next. Life does not begin nor end. Immovable, it moves. Momentary, it lasts. Light cannot be exhausted even if innumerable pictures are projected by it. So does life fill every shape to the brim and return to its source when the shape breaks down. Q. If life is so wonderful, how could ignorance happen? M. You want to treat the disease without having seen the patient. Before you ask about ignorance, why don't you inquire first, who is the ignorant? When you say you are ignorant, you do not know that you have imposed the concept of ignorance over the actual state of your thoughts and feelings. Examine them as they occur. Give them your full attention, and you will find that there is nothing like ignorance, only inattention. Give attention to what worries you, that is all. After all, worry is mental pain, and pain is invariably a call for attention. The moment you give attention, the call for it ceases, and the question of ignorance dissolves. Instead of waiting for an answer to your question, find out who is asking the question and what makes him ask it. You will soon find that it is the mind, goaded by fear of pain, that asks the question. And in fear there is memory and anticipation, past and future. Attention brings you back to the present, the now, and the presence in the now is a state ever at hand, but rarely noticed. Q. You are reducing sadhana to simple attention. How is it that other teachers teach complete, difficult, and time-consuming courses? M. The gurus usually teach the sadhanas by which they themselves have reached their goal, whatever their goal may be. This is but natural, for their own sadhana they know intimately. I was taught to give attention to my sense of I am, and I found it supremely effective. Therefore, I can speak of it with full confidence. But often people come with their bodies, brains, and minds so mishandled, perverted, and weak that the state of formless attention is beyond them. In such cases, some simpler token of earnestness is appropriate. The repetition of a mantra or gazing at a picture will prepare their body and mind for a deeper and more direct search. After all, it is earnestness that is indispensable, the crucial factor. Sadhana is only a vessel, and it must be filled to the brim with earnestness, which is but love in action, for nothing can be done without love. Q. We love only ourselves. M. Were it so, it would be splendid. Love yourself wisely, and you will reach the summit of perfection. Everybody loves his body, but few love their real being. Q. Does my real being need my love? M. Your real being is love itself, and your many loves are its reflections according to the situation at the moment. Q. We are selfish. We know only self-love. M. Good enough for a start. By all means, wish yourself well. Think over, feel out deeply what is really good for you, and strive for it earnestly. Very soon you'll find that the real is your only good. Q. Yet I do not understand why the various gurus insist on prescribing complicated and difficult sadhanas. Don't they know better? M. It is not what you do, but what you stop doing that matters. The people who begin their sadhana are so feverish and restless that they have to be very busy to keep themselves on track. An absorbing routine is good for them. After some time, they quiet down and turn away from effort. In peace and silence, the skin of the eye dissolves, and the inner and the outer become one. The real sadhana is effortless. Q. I have sometimes the feeling that space itself is my body. M. When you are bound by the illusion, I am this body, you are merely a point in space and a moment in time. When the self-identification with the body is no more, all space and time are in your mind, which is a mere ripple in consciousness, which is awareness reflected in nature. Awareness and matter are the active and the passive aspects of pure being, which is in both and beyond both. Space and time are the body and the mind of the universal existence. My feeling is that all that happens in space and time happens to me, that every experience is my experience from every form is my form. What I take myself to be becomes my body, and all that happens to that body becomes my mind. But at the root of the universe, there is pure awareness, beyond space and time, here and now. Know it to be your real being and act accordingly. Q. What difference will it make in action what I take myself to be? Actions just happen according to circumstances. M. Circumstances and conditions rule the ignorant. The knower of reality is not compelled. The only law he obeys is that of love. Chapter 94. You are beyond space and time. Questioner. You keep on saying that I was never born and will never die. If so, how is it that I see the world as one which has been born and will surely die? Maharaj. You believe so because you've never questioned your belief that you are the body, which obviously is born and dies. While alive, it attracts attention and fascinates so completely that rarely does one perceive one's real nature. It's like seeing the surface of the ocean and completely forgetting the immensity beneath. The world is but the surface of the mind, and the mind is infinite. What we call thoughts are just ripples in the mind. When the mind is quiet, it reflects reality. When it is motionless, through and through, it dissolves and only reality remains. This reality is so concrete, so actual, so much more tangible than mind and matter, that compared to it, even the diamond is soft like butter. This overwhelming actuality makes the world dreamlike, misty, irrelevant. Q. This world with so much suffering in it, how can you see it as irrelevant? What callousness! M. It is you who is callous, not me. If your world is so full of suffering, do something about it. Don't add to it through greed or indolence. I am not bound by your dreamlike world. In my world, the seeds of suffering, desire, and fear are not sown, and suffering does not grow. My world is free from opposites, of mutually destructive discrepancies. Harmony pervades. It is peace. It is rock-like. This peace and silence are my body. Q. What you say reminds me of the Dharmakaya of the Buddha. M. Maybe. But we need not run off with terminology. Just see the person you imagine yourself to be as part of the world you perceive within your mind, and look at the mind from the outside, for you are not the mind. After all, your only problem is the eager self-identification with whatever you perceive. Give up this habit. Remember that you are not what you perceive. Use your power of alert aloofness. See yourself in all that lives, and your behavior will express your vision. Once you realize there is nothing in this world which you can call your own, you look at it from the outside as you look at a play on the stage or a picture on the screen, admiring and enjoying, but really unmoved. As long as you imagine yourself to be something tangible and solid, a thing among things, actually existing in time and space, short-lived and vulnerable, naturally you'll be anxious to survive and increase. But when you know yourself as beyond space and time, in contact with them only at that point of here and now, otherwise all-pervading and all-containing, unapproachable, unassailable, invulnerable, you will be afraid no longer. Know yourself as you are. Against fear, there is no other remedy. You have to learn to think and feel on these lines, or you will remain indefinitely on the personal level of desire and fear, gaining and losing, growing and decaying. A personal problem cannot be solved on its own level. The very desire to live is the messenger of death, as the longing to be happy is the outline of sorrow. The world is an ocean of pain and fear, of anxiety and despair. Pleasures are like the fishes, few and swift, rarely come, quickly gone. A man of low intelligence believes, against all evidence, that he is an exception, and that the world owes him his happiness. But the world cannot give what it does not have. Unreal to the core, it is of no use for real happiness. It cannot be otherwise. We seek the real because we are unhappy with the unreal. Happiness is our real nature, and we shall never rest until we find it. But rarely we know where to seek it. Once you have understood that the world is but a mistaken view of reality, and is not what it appears to be, you are free of its obsession. Only what is compatible with your real being can make you happy, and the world as you perceive it is its outright denial. Keep very quiet and watch what comes to the surface of the mind. Reject the known, welcome the so far unknown, and reject it in its turn. Thus you come to be a state in which there is no knowledge, only being, in which being itself is knowledge. To know by being is direct knowledge. It is based on the identity of the seer and the seen. Indirect knowledge is based on sensation and memory, on proximity of the perceiver and his percept, confined with the contrast between the two. The same with happiness. Usually you have to be sad to know gladness, and glad to know sadness. True happiness is uncaused, and this cannot disappear for lack of stimulation. It is not the opposite of sorrow. It includes all sorrow and suffering. Q. How can one remain happy among so much suffering? M. One cannot help it. The inner happiness is overwhelmingly real. Like the sun in the sky, its expression may be clouded, but it is never absent. Q. When we are in trouble, we are bound to be unhappy. M. Fear is the only trouble. Know yourself as independent, and you will be free from fear and its shadows. Q. What's the difference between happiness and pleasure? M. Pleasure depends on things. Happiness does not. Q. If happiness is independent, why are we not always happy? M. As long as we believe that we need things to make us happy, we shall also believe that in their absence we must be miserable. Mind always shapes itself according to its beliefs. Hence, the importance of convincing oneself that one need not be prodded into happiness, that on the contrary, pleasure is a distraction and a nuisance, for it merely increases the false conviction that one needs to have and do things to be happy, when in reality it's just the opposite. But why talk of happiness at all? You do not think of happiness except when you are unhappy. A man who says, "Now I am happy," is between two sorrows, past and future. This happiness is mere excitement caused by relief from pain. Real happiness is utterly unself-conscious. It is best expressed negatively as, there is nothing wrong with me. I have nothing to worry about. After all, the ultimate purpose of all sadhana is to reach a point when this conviction, instead of being only verbal, is based on the actual and ever-present experience. Q. Which experience? M. The experience of being empty, uncluttered by memories and expectations. It's like the happiness of open spaces, of being young, of having all the time and energy for doing things, for discovery, for adventure. Q. What remains to discover? M. The universe without and the immensity within as they are in reality, in the great mind and heart of God. The meaning and purpose of existence, the secret of suffering, life's redemption from ignorance. Q. If being happy is the same as being free from fear and worry, cannot it be said that absence of trouble is the cause of happiness? M. A state of absence, of non-existence, cannot be a cause. The pre-existence of a cause is implied in the notion. Your natural state, in which nothing exists, cannot be a cause of becoming. The causes are hidden in the great and mysterious power of memory. But your true home is in nothingness, in emptiness of all content. Q. Emptiness and nothingness, how dreadful. M. You face it most cheerfully when you go to sleep. Find out for yourself the state of wakeful sleep, and you will find it quite in harmony with your real nature. Words can only give you the idea, and the idea is not the experience. All I can say is that true happiness has no cause, and what has no cause is immovable, which does not mean it is perceivable as pleasure. What is perceivable is pain and pleasure. The state of freedom from sorrow can be described only negatively. To know it directly, you must go beyond the mind addicted to causality in the tyranny of time. Q. If happiness is not conscious and consciousness not happy, what's the link between the two? M. Consciousness, being a product of conditions and circumstances, depends on them and changes along with them. What is independent, uncreated, timeless, and changeless, and yet ever new and fresh, is beyond the mind. When the mind thinks of it, the mind dissolves and only happiness remains. Q. When all goes, nothingness remains? M. How can there be nothing without something? Nothing is only an idea. It depends on the memory of something. Pure being is quite independent of existence, which is definable and describable. Q. Please tell us, beyond the mind, does consciousness continue, or does it end with the mind? M. Consciousness comes and goes. Awareness shines immutably. Q. Who is aware of awareness? M. When there is a person, there is also consciousness. I am, mind, consciousness denote the same state. If you say, I am aware, it only means I am conscious of thinking about being aware. There is no I am in awareness. Q. What about witnessing? M. Witnessing is of the mind. The witness goes with the witnessed. In the state of non-duality, all separation ceases. Q. What about you? Do you continue in awareness? M. The person, the I am, this body, this mind, this chain of memories, this bundle of desires and fears, disappears. But something you may call identity remains. It enables me to become a person when required. Love creates its own necessities, even of becoming a person. Q. It's said that reality manifests itself as existence, consciousness, bliss. Are they absolute or relative? M. They are relative to each other and depend on each other. Reality is independent of its expressions. Q. What's the relation between reality and its expressions? M. No relation. In reality, all is real and identical. As we put it, Saguna and Nirguna are one in Parabrahman. There is only the Supreme. In movement, it is Saguna. motionless. It is nirguna. But it's only the mind that moves and does not move. The real is beyond. You are beyond. Once you've understood that no thing perceivable or conceivable can be yourself, you're free of your imaginations. To see everything as imagination, born of desire, is necessary for self-realization. We miss the real by lack of attention and create the unreal by excess of imagination. You have to give your heart and mind to these things and brood over them repeatedly. It's like cooking food. You must keep it on the fire for some time before it is ready. Q. Am I not under the sway of destiny, of my karma? What can I do against it? What I am and what I do is predetermined. Even my so-called free choice is predetermined. Only I am not aware of it and imagine myself to be free. M. Again, it all depends how you look at it. Ignorance is like a fever. It makes you see things which are not there. Karma is the divinely prescribed treatment. Welcome it and follow the instructions faithfully, and you will get well. A patient will leave the hospital after he recovers. To insist on immediate freedom of choice and action will merely postpone recovery. Accept your destiny and fulfill it. This is the shortest way to freedom from destiny, though not from love and its compulsions. To act from desire and fear is bondage. To act from love is freedom. Chapter 95. Accept life as it comes. Questioner. I was here last year. Now I am again before you. What makes me come I really do not know, but somehow I cannot forget you. Maharaj. Some forget, some do not, according to their destinies, which you may call chance if you prefer. Q. Between chance and destiny, there is a basic difference. M. Only in your mind. In fact, you do not know what causes what. Destiny is only a blanket word to cover up your ignorance. Chance is another word. Q. Without knowledge of causes and their results, can there be freedom? M. Causes and results are infinite in number and variety. Everything affects everything. In this universe, when one thing changes, everything changes. Hence, the great power of man in changing the world by changing himself. Q. According to your own words, you have, by the grace of your guru, changed radically some 40 years ago, yet the world remains as it had been before. M. My world has changed completely. Yours remains the same, for you have not changed. Q. How is it that your change has not affected me? M. Because there was no communion between us. Do not consider yourself as separate from me, and we shall at once share in the common state. Q. I have some property in the United States which I intend to sell and buy some land in the Himalayas. I shall buy a house, lay out a garden, get 2 to 3 cows, and live quietly. People tell me that property and quiet are not compatible, that I shall at once get into trouble with officials, neighbors, and thieves. Is it inevitable? M. The least you can expect is an endless succession of visitors who will make your abode into a free and open guest house. Better accept your life as it shapes. Go home and look after your wife with love and care. Nobody else needs you. Your dream of glory will land you in more trouble. Q. It is not glory that I seek. I seek reality. M. For this, you need a well-ordered and quiet life, peace of mind, and immense earnestness. At every moment, whatever comes to you unasked comes from God and will surely help you if you make the fullest use of it. It's only what you strive for out of your own imagination and desire that gives you trouble. Q. Is destiny the same as grace? M. Absolutely. Accept life as it comes, and you will find it a blessing. Q. I can accept my own life. How can I accept the sort of life others are compelled to live? M. You are accepting it anyhow. The sorrows of others do not interfere with your pleasures. If you were really compassionate, you would have abandoned long ago all self-concern and entered the state from which alone you can really help. Q. If I have a big house and enough land, I may create an ashram with individual rooms, common meditation hall, canteen, library, office, etc. Ashrams are not made, they happen. You cannot start nor prevent them, as you cannot start or stop a river. Too many factors are involved in the creation of a successful ashram, and your inner maturity is only one of them. Of course, if you are ignorant of your real being, whatever you do must turn to ashes. You cannot imitate a guru and get away with it. All hypocrisy will end in disaster. Q. What is the harm in behaving like a saint even before being one? M. Rehearsing saintliness is a sadhana. It is perfectly all right, provided no merit is claimed. Q. How can I know whether I am able to start an ashram unless I try? M. As long as you take yourself to be a person, a body and a mind, separate from the stream of life, having a will of its own, pursuing its own aims, you are living merely on the surface, and whatever you do will be short-lived and of little value, mere straw to feed the flames of vanity. You must put in true worth before you can expect something real. What is your worth? Q. By what measure shall I measure it? M. Look at the content of your mind. You are what you think about. Are you not most of the time busy with your own little person and its daily needs? The value of regular meditation is that it takes you away from the humdrum of daily routine and reminds you that you are not what you believe yourself to be. But even remembering is not enough. Action must follow conviction. Don't be like the rich man who has made a detailed will but refuses to die. Q. Is not gradualness the law of life? M. No, the preparation alone is gradual. The change itself is sudden and complete. Gradual change does not take you to a new level of conscious being. You need courage to let go. Q. I admit it is courage that I lack. M. It is because you're not fully convinced. Complete conviction generates both desire and courage, and meditation is the art of achieving faith through understanding. In meditation, you consider the teaching received in all its aspects and repeatedly, until out of clarity, confidence is born, and with confidence, action. Conviction and action are inseparable. If action does not follow conviction, examine your convictions. Don't accuse yourself of lack of courage. Self-depreciation will take you nowhere. Without clarity and emotional assent, of what use is will? Q. What do you mean by emotional assent? Am I not to act against my desires? M. You will not act against your desires. Clarity is not enough. Energy comes from love. You must love to act, whatever the shape and object of your love. Without clarity and charity, courage is destructive. People at war are often wonderfully courageous, but what of it? Q. I see quite clearly that all I want is a house in a garden where I shall live in peace. Why should I not act on my desire? M. By all means act, but do not forget the inevitable, unexpected. Without rain, your garden will not flourish. You need courage for adventure. Q. I need time to collect my courage. Don't hustle me. Let me ripen for action. M. The entire approach is wrong. Action delayed is action abandoned. There may be other chances for other actions, but the present moment is lost, irretrievably lost. All preparation is for the future. You cannot prepare for the present. Q. What is wrong with preparing for the future? M. Acting in the now is not much helped by your preparations. Clarity is now. Action is now. Thinking of being ready impedes action, and action is the touchstone of reality. Q. Even when we act without conviction? M. You cannot live without action, and behind each action there is some fear or desire. Ultimately, all you do is based on your conviction that the world is real and independent of yourself. Were you convinced of the contrary, your behavior would have been quite different. Q. There's nothing wrong with my convictions. My actions are shaped by circumstances. M. In other words, you are convinced of the reality of your circumstances, of the world in which you live. Trace the world to its source, and you will find that before the world was, you were, and when the world is no longer, you remain. Find your timeless being, and your action will bear its testimony. Did you find it? Q. No, I did not. M. Then what else have you to do? Surely this is the most urgent task. You cannot see yourself as independent of everything unless you drop everything and remain unsupported and undefined. Once you know yourself, it is immaterial what you do. But to realize your independence, you must test it by letting go of all you were dependent on. The realized man lives on the level of the absolutes. His wisdom, love, and courage are complete. There's nothing relative about him. Therefore, he must prove himself by tests more stringent, undergo trials more demanding. The tester, the tested, and the setup for testing are all within. It is an inner drama to which none can be a party. Q. Crucifixion, death, and resurrection. We are on familiar grounds. I have read, heard, and talked about it endlessly. But to do it, I find myself incapable. M. Keep quiet, undisturbed, and the wisdom and the power will come on their own. You need not hanker. Wait in silence of the heart and mind. It is very easy to be quiet, but willingness is rare. You people want to become supermen overnight. Stay without ambition, without the least desire, exposed, vulnerable, unprotected, uncertain, and alone, completely open to and welcoming life as it happens, without this selfish conviction that all must yield you pleasure or profit, material or so-called spiritual. Q. I respond to what you say, but I just do not see how it is done. M. If you know how to do it, you will not do it. Abandon every attempt. Just be. Don't strive. Don't struggle. Let go every support. Hold on to the blind sense of being, brushing off all else. This is enough. Q. How is the brushing done? The more I brush off, the more it comes to the surface. M. Refuse attention. Let things come and go. Desires and thoughts are also things. Disregard them. Since time immemorial, the dust of events was covering the clear mirror of your mind, so that only memories could you see. Brush off the dust before it has time to settle. This will lay bare the old layers until the true nature of your mind is discovered. It's all very simple and comparatively easy. Be earnest and patient, that is all. Dispassion, detachment, freedom from desire and fear, from all self-concern, mere awareness, free from memory and expectation. This is the state of mind to which discovery can happen. After all, liberation is but the freedom to discover. Chapter 96. Your goal is your guru. Questioner. I'm an American by birth, and for the last year I was staying in an ashram in Madhya Pradesh, studying yoga in its many aspects. We had a teacher whose guru, a disciple of the great Shivananda Saraswati, stays in Mangur. I stayed at Ramanashram also. While in Bombay, I went through an intensive course of Burmese meditation. Yet I have not found peace. There's an improvement in self-control and day-to-day discipline, but that's all. I cannot say exactly what caused what. I visited many holy places. How each has acted on me, I cannot say. Maharaj. Good results will come sooner or later. At Sri Ramanashram, did you get some instructions? Q. Yes. Some English people were teaching me, and also an Indian follower of Jnana Yoga residing there permanently was giving me lessons. M. What are your plans? Q. I have to return to the States because of visa difficulties. I intended to complete my Bachelor of Science, study nature cure, and make it my profession. M. A good profession, no doubt. Q. Is there any danger in pursuing the path of yoga at all cost? M. Is a matchstick dangerous when the house is on fire? The search for reality is the most dangerous of all undertakings, for it will destroy the world in which you live. But if your motive is love of truth and life, you need not be afraid. Q. I am afraid of my own mind. It is so unsteady. M. In the mirror of your mind, images appear and disappear. The mirror remains. Learn to distinguish the immovable and the immovable, the unchanging and the changing, till you realize that all differences are an appearance only, and oneness is a fact. This basic identity you may call God or Brahman or the matrix. Prakriti. The words matter little. It's only the realization that all is one. Once you can say with confidence born from direct experience, I am the world is myself, you are free from desire and fear on one hand and become totally responsible for the world on the other. The senseless sorrow of mankind becomes your sole concern. Q. So even a jnani has his problems? M. Yes, but they are no longer of his own creation. His suffering is not poisoned by his sense of guilt. There's nothing wrong with suffering for the sins of others. Your Christianity is based on this. Q. Is not all suffering self-created? M. Yes, as long as there is a separate self to create it. In the end, you know that there is no sin, no guilt, no retribution, only life in its endless transformations. With the dissolution of the personal I, personal suffering disappears. What remains is the great sadness of compassion, the horror of unnecessary pain. Q. Is there anything unnecessary in the scheme of things? M. Nothing is necessary. Nothing is inevitable. Habit and passion blind and mislead. Compassionate awareness heals and redeems. There's nothing we can do. We can only let things happen according to their nature. Q. Do you advocate complete passivity? M. Clarity and charity is action. Love is not lazy, and clarity directs. You need not worry about action. Look after your mind and heart. Stupidity and selfishness are the only evil. Q. What is better, repetition of God's name or meditation? M. Repetition will stabilize your breath. With deep and quiet breathing, vitality will improve, which will influence the brain and help the mind to grow pure and stable and fit for meditation. Without vitality, little can be done, hence the importance of its protection and increase. Posture and breathing are a part of yoga, for the body must be healthy and well under control. But too much concentration on the body defeats its own purpose, for it's the mind that is primary in the beginning. When the mind has been put to rest and disturbs no longer the inner space, Chpts, the body acquires new meaning and its transformation becomes both necessary and possible. Q. I've been wandering all over India, meeting many gurus and learning in dribbles several yogas. Is it all right to have a taste of everything? M. No, this is but an introduction. You will meet a man who will help you find your way. Q. I feel that the guru of my own choice cannot be my real guru. To be real, he must come unexpected and be irresistible. M. Not to anticipate is best. The way you respond is decisive. Q. Am I the master of my responses? M. Discrimination and dispassion practiced now will yield their fruits at the proper time. If the roots are healthy and well watered, the fruits are sure to be sweet. Be pure, be alert, keep ready. Q. Are austerities and penances of any use? M. To meet all the vicissitudes of life is penance enough. You need not invent trouble. To meet cheerfully whatever life brings is all the austerity you need. Q. What about sacrifice? M. Share willingly and gladly all you have with whoever needs. Don't invent self-inflicted cruelties. Q. What is self-surrender? M. Accept what comes. Q. I feel I am too weak to stand on my own legs. I need the holy company of a guru and of good people. Equanimity is beyond me. To accept what comes as it comes frightens me. I think of my returning to the States with horror. M. Go back and make the best use of your opportunities. Get your Bachelor of Science degree first. You can always return to India for your nature cure studies. Q. I am quite aware of the opportunities in the States. It's the loneliness that frightens me. M. You have always the company of your own self. You need not feel alone. Estranged from it, even in India, you will feel lonely. All happiness comes from pleasing the self. Please it after returning to the States. Do nothing that may be unworthy of the glorious reality within your heart, and you shall be happy and remain happy. But you must seek the self, and having found it, stay with it. Q. Will complete solitude be of any benefit? M. It depends on your temperament. You may work with others and for others, alert and friendly, and grow more fully than in solitude, which may make you dull or leave you at the mercy of your mind's endless chatter. Do not imagine that you can change through effort. Violence, even turned against yourself, as in austerities and penance, will remain fruitless. Q. Is there no way of making out who is realized and who is not? M. Your only proof is in yourself. If you find that you turn to gold, it will be a sign that you have touched the philosopher's stone. Stay with the person and watch what happens to you. Don't ask others. Their man may not be your guru. A guru may be universal in his essence, but not in his expressions. He may appear to be angry or greedy or over-anxious about his ashram or his family, and you may be misled by appearances, while others are not. Q. Have I not the right to expect all-round perfection, both inner and outer? M. Inner, yes. But outer perfection depends on circumstances, on the state of the body, personal and social, and other innumerable factors. Q. I was told to find a jnani so that I may learn from him the art of achieving jnana, and now I'm being told that the entire approach is false, that I cannot make out a jnani, nor can jnana be conquered by appropriate means. It's all so confusing. M. It is all due to your complete misunderstanding of reality. Your mind is steeped in the habits of evaluation and acquisition, and will not admit that the incomparable and unobtainable are waiting timelessly within your own heart for recognition. All you have to do is to abandon all memories and expectations. Just keep yourself ready in utter nakedness and nothingness. Q. Who is to do the abandoning? M. God will do it. Just see the need of being abandoned. Don't resist. Don't hold on to the person you take yourself to be. Because you imagine yourself to be a person, you take the jnani to be a person too, only somewhat different, better informed, more powerful. You may say that he is eternally conscious and happy, but it is far from expressing the whole truth. Don't trust definitions and descriptions. They're grossly misleading. Q. Unless I'm told what to do and how to do it, I feel lost. M. By all means, do feel lost. As long as you feel competent and confident, reality is beyond your reach. Unless you accept inner adventure as a way of life, discovery will not come to you. Q. Discovery of what? M. Of the center of your being, which is free of all directions, all means and ends. Q. Be all, know all, have all. M. Be nothing, know nothing, have nothing. This is the only life worth living, the only happiness worth having. Q. I may admit that the goal is beyond my comprehension. Let me know the way, at least. M. You must find your own way. Unless you find it yourself, it will not be your own way and will take you nowhere. Earnestly live your truth as you have found it. Act on the little you have understood. It is earnestness that will take you through, not cleverness, your own or others. Q. I'm afraid of mistakes. So many things I tried, nothing came of them. M. You gave too little of yourself. You were merely curious, not earnest. Q. I don't know any better. M. At least that much you know. Knowing them to be superficial give no value to your experiences. Forget them as soon as they're over. Live a clean, selfless life. That is all. Q. Is morality so important? M. Don't cheat. Don't hurt. Is it not important? Above all, you need inner peace, which demands harmony between the inner and the outer. Do what you believe in and believe in what you do. All else is a waste of time and energy.